And we are live, and this time it has worked. So, welcome everyone to today's Shining the Light on Our Community. And of course, my name's Sophia, and today I have with me a beautiful guest all the way from Montana, Dawna Campbell. Thank you for joining us, Dawna. I'm really looking forward to our conversation all about the subconscious creation of money and how we can
Yes.
align our heart set and our mindset through your infinite prosperity system. Really want to know about that, so thank you. And Donna, you're known as the mind whisperer, and you're using or combining your past knowledge, wisdom, and experience to assist your clients in creating and restoring a life of happiness, prosperity, and love. And you have 25 years of helping people live their best lives. Love that. Want to know more? Want to know a little bit about yourself? So, first of all, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Really interested to know about your infinite prosperity system and, how we can align with it. But let's start off to find out about you.
All
Tell
right.
us a
Well,
little
and
bit
thank
about
you.
you.
Yes. And thank you so much, Sophia, for having me on here because I really do believe in community. I believe in getting our messages out to the world. And you guys have a beautiful, beautiful platform of sharing. So thank you so much.
Not a problem, and I'm so glad that you're part of us and come to share your wisdom and your passion with us because it's an ongoing, don't want to say issue, but it's an ongoing topic with a lot of people, about aligning our heart and our mind with prosperity, like in just tuning in to the prosperity that we have around us, that energy. So yeah,
Yes.
tell us how you got to where you are now.
All right. Well, my first career, I was a financial advisor and a managing principal of an investment firm. So I was responsible for $500 million of other people's money. But really, what that cost me in the end was my own health. I couldn't digest food. It cost me my marriage at the time. It cost me my own financial status of, even though I was following all the money rules, I was left devastated being a single parent raising children. So that was when I knew something needed to be different. And throughout my own course, learning about healing, moving into that realm, I started following some different paths and realized really the power of our mind, not only our conscious mind, but our subconscious mind. And so, what I do today for people around the world, regardless of what country you're in, is I reprogram your subconscious brain so you get the results that you are looking for. And there's three areas most people want, and that's health. Because if you don't have good health, you're not going to have happiness, the wealth abundance category, which is what my background is. And that's why we're going to talk about the subconscious creation of money. And then the other area is relationships. It's about having those connected relationships with other people and experiencing the different types of love. And so that's what I bring to the people: happiness, prosperity, and love. But the really great entry point is the subconscious creation money, which is falls into the infinite prosperity system, because people always say, I want to have more money. But when you ask why, it's about a relationship. And in about 20 minutes, they're like, is that why I have this with my thyroid? Or is that why my stomach gets upset? And you're like, well, yeah, because it's all interconnected. So,
Yeah, it is, isn't it? We don't really realize how much our body is connected to our mind and everything else that's going on. If we did, I think the world would be such a different place. We would be so different that our bodies tell us exactly what's going on. We just have to tune into it.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and things. So tell us first of all a little bit, like about the mind whisperer.
Yeah.
Can we go into that a little bit more and what does that mean?
Yes, absolutely. So we're familiar, most people are, with the law of attraction. Your thoughts create your reality, right? But oftentimes we think a thought, which is our 10% conscious reality, but the thought doesn't happen. We can think, I'm rich and abundant, but yet it never comes. So we
Yeah.
have to wonder why. Well, the other 90% is how we feel. It's in the heart set. which is also going into the subconscious, which resonates with the law of magnetism, because we all have energy flowing out of us that magnetically attract back what we're feeling, not what we're thinking. So often we think, I'm rich and abundant, but we feel a lack energy on the inside. So there's a misalignment with how we feel. And the universe is all or nothing. So it's going to return to you what you feel each and every time. So as a mind whisperer, what I do is through a series of different questions and your answers is I help you identify the actual emotion and energy that is stuck in the subconscious, where it's located at in the body, and some of the first events where it got stuck at. And then we also uncover what we really need. So we can let go of things like anger and sadness and frustration and disappointment and betrayal, and then we can put in the good qualities that we do need, the peace, the love, the kindness, the abundance, the riches. And when that takes place in the subconscious, it reprograms the event with the new energy. And so the events don't change of where we're at, but the emotional connection to that event totally shifts and changes. And then what happens is that's the new energy that sends out to the universe and comes back to you, attracting what you're wanting, which is more in alignment with what you're thinking. So then you can get instantaneous results 100% of the time. And bottom line is, I've been tracking this for a number of years, is clients all around the world will start increasing their revenue a minimum of 25% or more consistently, just by shifting and changing the emotional blocks. So mind whispering to me is we start with a thought and we find the thought under the thought under thought back to the originating thought and see what needed to change. We reprogram, which is the whole mind whispering technique part of that subconscious that I learned how to do from a medicine woman and yogic healers. And then everything else from that point forward reprograms. And then you live a new reality.
Yeah, when you change that original thought, which could be right back to birth or even before birth.
Exactly.
Because I know that, we come, even the birth process is very traumatic because you're being, it's from two totally different worlds.
Right.
And depending on your birth, you can create those events, those systems, those thought processes, the beliefs that we don't even know about, that we're not even consciously aware of it. So I love this. It's like it touches my heart, and I just want to honour you, first of all, to helping people with this, to bringing this to the world, to helping. It's such a vital thing to unblock our past that we're not even consciously aware of. That's why I like your subconscious creation of money. So how do we move from the mind and unblocking all those, thoughts and processes that we've learned, changing those to reprogramming, to moving into the infinite prosperity system?
Well, our subconscious records everything, like you said, from the moment you're conceived to the day you exit this earth. And it's a literal event. And so it's taking those emotions and feelings that we have moment by moment and assigning it to the different events that we have in our life. And it gives us a recording. It gives us a blueprint or an automated pattern to follow. And it goes into your DNA. It goes into all your cells. So without conscious thought, it just happens. So we have to reverse engineer that process. So we start off with what it is that you want to change. So a lot of times clients or people, if I pull them up on stage and ask them a question, they'll say, I want more money. Okay, not a bad thing. Why? And so when you uncover the why, it's usually a relationship issue, something they want, a lifestyle, but they'll tell you a story around that. And then when you ask the next question, well, you've been trying to create more money. It hasn't happened yet. So what does it feel like not having more money? So we have to identify the feeling. So that's really the first step, is once we understand where we're going, we have to identify the feeling. And then, well, I'm frustrated because no matter what I do, it's not working. Well, where is that frustration at in the body? Because your body has memory of what happens, and it's an access point to the subconscious. It's in my gut. It's in my stomach. It's all knotted up. Usually what I get. And then when was the first time you remember feeling that energy in your stomach area, in the gut. And that's when it goes back to the original event that the subconscious recorded. Whatever the first event comes up, that's the original event that you can recall. And in a lot of people's cases, this particular person I pulled up on stage, he said, well, I was 10, my parents got divorced. The more got divided up. We were comfortable, but we didn't have the extra. I can't create the extra now. And so what he needed at that time was a sense of pride or a sense of honor and respect that he wanted to have with his family. So we allowed that event to be programmed in the new frequency. And then we do the rechats because we discovered the emotion, we identified it, we released it, and we transformed it to the new energy. So we go back to the event and we check it and say, how does that look? And he looked at me, he was really confused. He goes, my parents still got divorced, but I was happy. I was riding my bicycle down the street. I wasn't frustrated anymore like I had been. And then when we checked the stomach, the knot was gone. It was completely changed. And 3.5 years later, his family, his boys, they lived everything that they wanted to. Just from a 15-minute example, we didn't even go deep into the subconscious. We just used it as the access point. But those are the key points right there. You have to discover the emotion and identify it, and you have to release it, and you have to transform it into something new. And that's how we get into the subconscious to make those changes.
Wonderful. And you help anyone with this? People can. Yep. And is this also online? You can still access all the subconscious and reprogram things even if you're online virtually.
Yes, absolutely. I actually started 12 years ago before the world of Zoom happened.
Yes.
And so I had clients in a lot of different areas. So I use my practice the same way. We get on the telephone because oftentimes I'm sitting here with my eyes closed and reading the energy so I know how to ask the questions and how to reprogram the subconscious. And then, so I don't use Zoom at all. It's just done on the phone. And I have an international practice. Gosh, I've probably been in about 23 different countries very easily to work with people, to make these changes. And it works on anything and everything, because everything for us has an emotional frequency to it. And that's part of the code that's out in the universe.
Thank you for that, and hopefully now you'll be in a lot more countries as well. But a question that has come up, like we're talking about, going back to the original event and things. What if someone is not able to remember on a conscious level? I know it's all there on a subconscious level, but I talk to many people, and and if you've gone through a reasonably traumatic experience, the conscious mind blocks that out.
Yes, very, very true. And one of the things that I do, if that does come up, or people say, I don't really remember my childhood, there's probably some trauma in it. But then when they do remember it, they only remember the good things. So you've got to teach them that it's safe to feel, that it's okay. We're only identifying the emotions. We're not going to relive it. But whatever the first memory comes up, or if they're not able to do that, I have them make up a story. Because there's an element of truth in the story. It's not about how accurate the story is or the truth of the story. I'm looking for the emotions and the vibrational frequencies that got associated in the subconscious. So you can totally make up a story, tell it to me. I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm listening for the emotions, and I ask you how things feel, because that's the part that needs to reprogram. And if the event or the memory is supposed to surface, it will. And you trust that. And if it's not, we don't go looking for it, because if it's a lot of trauma, we don't need to go through that again. We just need to know what we're reprogramming. So those are some ways around it. If you don't remember events or childhoods or the first memory. And sometimes you get, well, when I was 23, I was in college and this happened. Okay, was there a time before 23 that you can remember? Well, when you think about it, yeah, I was like 13 and such happened. Okay, well, was there a time before you were 13, like maybe really little? And you see how far back you can go. But whatever point that is, that's the point that you reprogram, because it goes forward, but it also goes backwards for your entire life. because the universe, there's no time, it's not linear, it's multi-directional. So there's some ways around if you don't remember an event.
There's always a way, and like we know, it is there. It's just being able to access stuff, and I like, and going on the emotional frequency and things
Yes.
like that, because there's so much that we're not consciously aware of, that our body is telling us and our emotions are telling us and stuff like that. No, I love this. I'd love to go more into it. Tell me, Dawna, if I can ask you, we live in such a world now that money is such a big thing,
Mhm.
right? And it's so competitive in the digital age and the world of technology that we have to have this and we have to have that. But if you could, and it's not easy, especially for people who are growing up who have a lot of, whether it's really traumatic experiences or just, just living in this world is a challenging time. But if you could leave a legacy for all the people who are growing up in, now and in the future, about how we can live our best life,
Yeah.
what legacy would that be?
Mm. I have a couple of things that I have. My personal motto, though, is live the life you love and love the life that you live. So if you're not 100% in love with your life, then maybe something needs to change and we need to look at it. But if you are, keep going because it brings happiness, and happiness is a way that we can share, and people want to be around other happy people. So in a way, it heals the world and the earth. I really do believe, though, personally, that it's through service and making the world a better place, or making that impact, helping everyone or your fellow person, because to me, healing is all things, and it might just be somebody smiling for the day when they're not in a good mood. And through service, we can do that. And if I was to leave a personal legacy, was just that I had a heart of service and that I was willing to give and share out in the world to make it better than when I came here.
Yeah, yeah, which is so wonderful. So thank you. And I love your legacy, and I would really like to, to be able to support you in your legacy in whatever way we can, because that heart of service,
Yes.
just wanting to make the world a better place,
Mhm.
for everyone and things, even if it's just one person at a time, because that has such a ripple effect. So thank you so much. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us about the infinite prosperity system, or how we can align our heart and our mind with
Yes.
everything, and with,
Yeah.
yeah,
So the infinite prosperity system takes you through the very first steps, not just with what we talked about, but a little bit more of how to align on a deeper level, because all of us have our energy centers. They're called chakras, and each one has different energy that resonates with it. So there's of what we call a vice, something that's negative or something that will stop or block the energy from flowing to you. And then there's a virtue, that's a positive moral characteristic that will attract the energy that you need to be in. And so, what I did with the infinite prosperity system, I talk a little bit about the emotional side of money and how money corresponds to the words that we use when we identify who we are on a cell level. So, we'll say things like, I want to know that I'm worthy, or that I'm enough, and that I'm valued and appreciated. But those are the same words we talk about in the money supply world. Your portfolio assets are valued at, your assets appreciated, your net worth is. And if you don't have enough money on the outside, you might not feel like you're enough on the inside. So I talk a lot about that correlation of how money is emotional and it plays off on how you are feeling, followed by shutting down those self sabotaging thoughts, which are those vices in those energy centers that stop your manifestations and creations and what you're asking for from coming to. So, judgment, criticism, envy, blame, all of those will shut it down, and they're each locked in the different energy centers. And then on the other side, the three keys to opening up those prosperity doors, the virtues, the good, positive moral characteristics, the peace, the balance, the happiness, the love, and how all of those words even tie into our money system. And then what to do to start balancing and exchanging the lower energy for the higher energy. So you're more in that infinite alignment. And I use an infinity symbol on the infinite prosperity system because when you align your energy centers, it creates a flowing pattern of a pattern 8. If you go through the different nodes with the heart being the center, and then if you do it through everyone, it looks like a DNA strand. So abundance and prosperity is your divine given right. So I talk about all of that and so much more in the infinite prosperity system and really how to come into that alignment for the abundance and the prosperity that every person here deserves.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. We will certainly put all your links in the comments as soon as we finish our conversation. And if anyone would like to know more about the infinite prosperity system, I do really recommend getting in touch with Dawna and just, connecting and unblocking or reprogramming all the stuff that is holding us back. Because I can just imagine the life that we can live when there's all that, experiences that is stopping us that we're not even aware of. When all that is removed, we can step into our greatness, step into the life that we're meant to live. Thank you so, so very much for joining us today. I really, really appreciate it. Love to know more, so please do come back. And, I've said it before, but I just want to honour you and thank you for sharing this with the world, because it's such a needed thing, to help transform the world by unblocking our past, reprogramming those events. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.